why do good girls date the bad boys and the good guys date the hard to get girls? I was having a conversation the other day with these two girls, and one of them was saying that every time she tries to hook up her friend with a great guy, she's not interested. And I said, well, it's probably because she's into the bad boys. And they both paused and looked at each other. And they're like, you know what? That's true. And I said, well, interesting enough, it's probably because what do the bad boys all have in common that the nice guys don't? Well, the bad boys come off as they're not needy at all, because they usually have side chicks they're talking to without you knowing about it. So they give off this perception they're willing to walk away like any second. And with that, it becomes like there's not a needy feeling. But when they're with you, they make you feel really special. And it's kind of like this cat and mouse game where they keep this level of like confidence and power of where, okay, if it doesn't work out, like no sweat, it's all good. I got a couple other chicks or 5 other chicks I'm talking to. So if this one doesn't go well, like who cares? And then from the guy's perspective, the nice guy dating the hard to get girl is a level of feeling for the guy that makes him feel special if he gets her, because she's coming off as this person of, well, just because you're good looking or you do all these great things in a relationship doesn't mean that you're in essence like deserving of me yet. And so you almost have to like prove yourself. And so it makes the guy kind of feel special. So how can a Christian do this in a relationship? How can a Christian take the skills of what the bad boys do, and how can a Christian girl take the skills of what a hard to get woman does and then apply it to them? And I believe it's simple. All right, the bad boys, like I don't think that you need to be having all these side chicks and be, like pickup artists call it like spinning plates or whatever. I don't think that's the case at all. What I think is the case is, as a Christian man, you come off as a gentleman and you have the self-esteem and self-respect for yourself and self-confidence because you've developed these characteristics. You've worked on yourself so that when you go approach and meet a pretty woman, if it doesn't work out, then that's fine. You're okay with that. You don't feel that you have to get this woman. But don't get me wrong, if she's interested and you guys go on a date, you absolutely put effort into it, but you don't overbear the neediness. They still have to prove that they are what you are looking for, because as a Christian man, you should understand what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. And you don't know that until you get to know the person. So don't go falling in love with the girl just because of her good looks. Find out who she is as a person. And you have to be willing to communicate that. And if the female is doing something that you're not okay with, you have to be able to communicate that in a way that's, one, respectful, and 2, letting them know that, hey, I'm not trying to change you. I don't want to change you. But just so you know that what I am looking for in a female, for a mate, for a wife, these things are important to me. And I'm not saying you have to change. I'm not saying you have to be this person, but I just want to let you know that where I'm coming from and what I'm looking for is this. And it's okay if it doesn't work out between us. You say that in the most like respectful way, not to put them down, but to let them know that who you are, where you're going, and what you want, and giving them the okay, like if they don't want to be this and if they are not this, then it's okay. Like in your mind, you are okay with them not being it, despite how good looking they are, despite whatever they say, are their actions proving it? And you taking that stance of like, this is what I want, knowing what you want as a man, one, it shows decisiveness. Women want a man that's decisive because they want to be led in a relationship. They want a guy to plan like dates. They want a guy to, when they say, like when you're trying to figure out plans for going out on a date and stuff, you don't ask them like, I mean, sure, you can get to know what do they like for food and stuff, but for the most part, they want you to, like, they don't want to come up with the decision making. They want to be swept off their feet and have this man plan all these things out. And they'll let you know if they don't really like the food or not. Like, they will let you know. Females will tell you whether they like it or not. And maybe they don't do it the first time, but they might do it when they feel a little more comfortable. Like, hey, to be honest, like, I didn't really like this restaurant and I didn't really like this food. They will let you know. Or they'll be like, hey, like if you come up with a spot or whatever and they're asking like where they're going so they can dress appropriately, you let them know. And they might say like, to be honest, like I'm not really a fan of this place. Can we go somewhere else? Absolutely no problem. you figure it out. But you kind of set that pace, and then they'll let you know along the ways. But they want a man that's decisive. So you being decisive, knowing who you are, knowing your self-worth, and knowing that despite what someone's looks are, it's okay if they're not the one. Now, that's just from a Christian man's perspective. Now, from a good girl that's trying to learn from the hard-to-get women, what I personally think and believe is that the reason why the nice guys or the good men are going after the hard-to-get women is because the hard-to-get women, they come off as this, you had to kind of, you were challenged to court them. You had to do things to get to know them. So they kind of had a shield to where it made the man feel that just because he's good looking, just because he has like the charisma or talk or, whatever it is, maybe he dresses nice, whatever it is, just because they have this persona doesn't mean that they get to just take her out. Like, she is willing to essentially say, like, okay, like, one, if she's attracted to you or like you come off in a good way, she still kind of has like reservations of like, okay, like, let me get to know you. But she doesn't fall instantly. She still has some, he needs to court me and needs to treat me well. And good girls will oftentimes be so caught up in what the man looks like, what he's doing in life, and maybe that he's a Christian, all these other things. But still, they must earn your trust. Like, there should be some validation of like, verify, like, okay, he's saying all the right things, he looks the right way and all this stuff, but verify that is actually true. And I think that's what the hard-to-get women do, is because they've been burned so many times, they kind of have a shield over their heart. They're willing to be a little more patient and a little more reservation of like, is this guy going to break my heart? Is he messing with me? Because they've experienced that. And a lot of times, like, the really good girls, like, yeah, they're going to get burned too, but maybe they don't have that callous over their heart, so it's not natural for them. But what I'm saying is, use wisdom to, in the courtship period, like, this guy should be taking you out to dates, or he should be asking you out to coffee to initially get to know you, but he should go through a courting process before it progresses. And definitely for women, any women watching this, like, do not give it up on the first date. Do not sleep with a man on the first date, because then it immediately shifts the power over to the man once he got that. And for a man, it feels like, okay, he already won in a sense, and he already got the reward per se, But if, like, as a Christian woman, obviously, like, if you read the Bible, you know that abstinence is something you should wait for marriage for. Whether you do that or not, like, I understand we're all human and we all have our own temptations. But what I think is really important is when you have sex with a man on the first date, you communicate subconsciously that to the man that, he's going to be thinking, well, how many other guys does she do this with? He's not going to feel special. He didn't have to wait for that. He didn't have to earn it. He didn't have to court you to get that. And so it's going to devalue, for the man's perspective, like, his value for you, because you hadn't set boundaries of letting him to be allowed to be intimate with you. And so protect your heart, protect your intimacy. That has to be earned, and over time of proving themselves. And I'm sure that a lot of us have been in relationships where it's great in the beginning, then 3 months down the road, you're like, dude, this is like not the person that I originally met. It's because now they've become very comfortable with you, or they can't mask themselves anymore. It's usually a 3-month period. So that's what I'm saying, like, get to know the person before just falling in love with them. Even if it's super hard and you're like, dude, she's smoking hot, or like, this guy's super attractive, he's super shredded, like, he's really successful, whatever it is, like, and from the guy's perspective, like, okay, she's funny, she's really hot, she has her life together, she also doesn't take crap, like, she kind of like plants her foot in the ground. So that communicates that's a strong friend woman as well, and that is attractive. And when people have boundaries, then it communicates subconsciously and verbally, if you've set them, that you have a better idea of who you are and your own self-worth. And that communicates attraction. So that's how I think a good girl can learn from the hard-to-get women, and the nice guys can learn from the bad boys.